My goal in this sport is to be as much like the men as possible, because I feel like the more I can compete like a male, the more successful I'll be. So I always try to not segregate myself, and I try to do exactly what they're doing, exactly the way that they're doing it, because that's why they're successful, you know. I'm always striving. There's a difference between men and women, obviously, but I always try to narrow that gap, and I think that's what makes women more successful. I wasn't even sure if it was true, to be honest, and then as I found out it was true, I was a little concerned about the future of women's MMA. You know, I know Dana and UFC in general doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of women fighting, but so far, you know, they said it's business as usual, and I was happy to hear Scott Coker released a press release today saying he promised the future of women's MMA was secure, so, you know, I have no reason to doubt that I have a good, you know, secure future in the sport. I mean, yeah, they don't really tell me anything, so I'm like, oh, I found it on Twitter, that's why I wasn't sure if it was true, you know. I'm like, oh, maybe, is it April Fool's yet, or something like that, you know, but then no, I was like, oh, okay, I guess it is true, you know, so. I think Strikeforce definitely is the best. I think it's like the equivalent of UFC, but for women, you know, so I'm perfectly happy with that. Yeah, I'm always trying new things that I'm not always comfortable with. You know, I make mistakes, and sometimes that'll get me caught, you know, in the practice room, but I'd rather live and learn in there than in the fight, you know, so I'm constantly trying to open my game and make myself better and challenge myself with new awkward positions I'm not used to quite being in or not always the best in. So yeah, I'm always trying to be creative and think of new things and new ways to catch people in submissions and be tricky and whatnot, so.